Hey everyone, it's Taz here, Mary Taz or Bumblebee Cody. Um, I'm actually going to be talking about my Japanese language learning journey as well. Just minimize this. Um, Basically, I uploaded a video recently in which people had regarding my Duolingo streak. I'd hit 3 years in a row, every single day with not a single day missed, and that did actually gain quite a little bit of traction there, a couple of thousand views, and also quite a few comments as well. So I thought I'd address those. Excuse me, choking on a biscuit. I thought I would address those on an individual basis rather than on a video rather than an individual basis. Sorry. So that's what this video is. Um, just to give you some guys a bit more info about that video. That video was actually made in October. Excuse me. That I don't know what it is. Like these biscuit things, like these like Pokemon biscuits, down the wrong hole. Anyway, so yeah, that video was actually made on my 3rd year anniversary of learning Japanese, and that was October 18th. So I can show you here. October 18th, this day right here is the important day. Since then, I missed my very first day in November, missed a few days in December, and I've missed a day yesterday, and I've only got a couple of days left before I miss another one. That's partly because I actually don't really enjoy Duolingo anymore, but I don't really want to get too far ahead of myself on that just yet. So I'll come back to that later in the video, or maybe in a separate video. But one, I still really rate Duolingo. I think it's amazing. And two, I don't really think I have a second point to be honest. I still like Duolingo. I just don't really care for it too much anymore because I'm kind of past the level that it wants me to be at. So yeah. Anyway, let's get to the comments of the video that people had left for me. So I had already addressed these ones. This is also my second time recording this video as well because I messed up the first recording. So there's a comment here coming up I can already just jump straight to. So pure dedication is a good comment I left there, but I don't want to get into it now because it's quite a personal one, but you can read that for yourself. So this one here, the first one, which is 3 years of dedication. This is impressive. Just out of interest, how comfortable would you consider yourself in Japanese? As I just said, I did try and make this video before and I kind of messed up. So I actually have the graph here already that I made in Paint. So this is here kind of just to give you guys an indication as to how comfortable I feel like I am in my Japanese when I was a beginner. So for me personally, because I'm quite a sociable person, I kind of want to speak to pretty much as many people as I can. I'm really interested in culture and how people think and what people like and do. So for me personally, every time I would learn a word in Japanese, because I naturally want to speak anyway to just people regardless, to be able to try and say this new word that I just learned is the kind of thing I want to use, or is the kind of thing I want to use almost immediately. So even early on, even only a couple of months in, even a couple of weeks in, I'd say I was already just trying to say things, just speak and be like konnichiwa, or onaka suita desu or something like that, rather than like tapatai or ohayou, that kind of thing. So in the beginning, I was already just trying to speak to people. A couple of months in, I was already like trying to say really complex stuff, even if it was well above my level. My listening was actually quite low as well in the beginning because honestly, I hadn't actually spent much time listening to things. And I say things in terms of Japanese people speaking or the content. So like watching Terrace House, for example, or Gaki no Sky and actually listening to what they're saying. I never really did that. And the same applies for my reading as well. Both reading and listening are two things that I had spent so much time, had overlooked it so much that I had quite a rude awakening, if you will, maybe 6 or so months in. I'm not really going to get into the stories of my Japanese personal stories. That'll be a separate video because my Japanese journey is not a normal one by any means. But early on, I think a couple of months in Melbourne during lockdown, playing Animal Crossing in a hostel on my own, and I realized that I had no way of actually being able to read even hiragana because where I had spent so much time reading Duolingo, I hadn't really actually sat there and read. I kind of just read it and memorized the answers and such, so I could speak it and repeat it, but I couldn't hear it being said to myself by someone else. The same could be said for my reading as well. So while I could read hiragana and katakana within like a week of Japanese, I hadn't been able to actually read like words and sentences in a natural setting. My writing is crap. It's gonna stay crap because I've got no intention of working on my writing. Anyone who's ever seen my writing in English, it looks like hiragana itself. Um, but where I am now, currently, that is where I kind of feel I'm at now, and it's not fluent by any means. It's like, let me add a bit more info on this. If I was to put this as like 100% comfortable, that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of how comfortable I am out of 100%. So add that there. That's kind of what we're looking at, to be honest. Out of 100%, that's what we're looking at. So my speaking again is almost at 100%, I'd say. But even if my vocabulary has increased since, I'm learning new words every day, and I'm adding that to my current vocabulary to then immediately start trying to use. So words, grammar structures. The grammar that I use is this website here, and thanks to my Aussie mate Bryce, Boompro. Great, I love this one. Again, I'm not going to go into this just now, but I use Boompro to learn grammar, and I use Duolingo to introduce me to new words. But now I learn new words from the media that I watch. So if I'm going to watch Terrace House and they say something new, if they say something new, then I'll look that up on something like Jishua, and then I'll make a flashcard out of it. So that's pretty much how I'm learning new words and phrases to improve my speaking, because I like speaking. It's really fun, it's enjoyable, and I'm glad that I did spend a lot of time also listening to Japanese content as well, because I could speak but I couldn't hear. As strange as that sounds, I could hear even the most basic sentences and still not really know what they were saying. It's a really good question, that is, as well. Again, it varies between, so to quickly go over that, it varies between each of these 4 levels in comfortableness. It's the kind of thing you have to give yourself exposure to and really feel yourself being motivated and eager to learn. Next question, incredible dedication, good job, bro. Do you use any other resources, apps, textbooks? How proficient would you say you are? This does kind of the proficiency does kind of tie into comfortableness, because the more proficient you become, generally I'd say the more comfortable you come. They kind of do go hand in hand. So it's one thing in the beginning to be, I just realized the paint picture was still up, sorry about that. Yeah, so to be proficient in something means that you'd be highly knowledgeable and comfortable at the same time. So early on you're not going to be very comfortable, but once you know the basics so well, you don't even have to worry about it and it becomes your second language. You can be very proficient at beginning stages of Japanese. So you can say, I want to go here, I live here, I like this, this, and this. You can say that in Japanese or your target language. So your proficiency at that level increases overall the more you're able to expose yourself to language and use that language more and more. So again, proficiency, how proficient am I? It gets a bit hard to gauge because I've never actually sat any of the JLPT exams. Japanese was never intending to be anything serious, but it has since turned into basically a big part of my life now. Again, it's a big story that I've got, which I will probably most likely make a video on at some point, but not for this one. My proficiency I'm able to increase by consistently watching Japanese content. I'm a big fan of Gaki no Tsukai. I'm actually not really a fan of watching TV in general. I don't even really watch anime. Excuse me. I'm really not a fan of anime in general. If you look at my early videos on YouTube from like 15 years ago, back when I was like, if you want otaku, any of my friends knew me back then. I was really into anime and into that whole kind of weeb otaku culture, but now I don't really even watch TV anymore. So the TV that I do watch is only for resources and learning. So while I'm not really I have actually become a fan of Terrace House, I'll be honest. But while I'm watching shows like Good Morning Call, Hajimete no Otsukai, or Terrace House, that's how I learn. And my proficiency comes from the acquisition of the language, the immersion, and what I learn through that. I did put that there as well. I also just stuck to the only app I stuck to really was Duolingo. Textbooks, I can't really be bothered with textbooks. I want to do a separate video on that. I think it's a really good thing to point this out about people's different learning styles and why I do think Duolingo is great for some people. But I'm going to come back to that on a later one. It's a really good question, but I can only answer the proficiency one for this one without making this too big. 3 years, I didn't watch the first 8 seconds. I will respond to that, but yes, I have since. Can you watch anime without subtitles and understand everything? So here's the thing. Anime is content. Content comes in different levels. If you're going to watch a TV show like Sazaya-san, Kureon Shinchan, um, uh, even Hajimete no Otsukai, it's not going to be that difficult, honestly. So that's an anime that's quite low level, easy to watch. Um, if you're going to go any higher than that, and you're watching things like Naruto or Bleach or One Piece, then it's going to get a bit more difficult because they're going to be using more unnatural language. Um, think about it this way: think of the cartoons that we watch. If you're going to watch a show like Peppa Pig, that's going to be easy. You know, as a if you're going to introduce if you're talking so think of it this way: if you're talking to a Japanese person, what would you recommend? You know, in terms, and you can say different levels. Peppa Pig, easy. Noddy, that's easy. If you're going to go to something like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon shows like Hey Arnold, that's going to be a bit more difficult because that's your young your younger kids or teenager, like the kind of stuff I used to watch. Those kind of shows, Ed, Ed and Eddie, they're really good for children, kids speak. Disney shows like Recess as well. They're really good for that level, but it's going to get more difficult. And if you're watching stuff like other animated TV shows, like Rick and Morty, for example, I don't watch it, but I know that's going to be extremely difficult for people to understand, and it's going to be quite not unnatural, but difficult to understand why things are said and why they're used in that kind of way. I would never recommend a show like Archer or Bob's Burgers to someone because they're not really gonna, if they're new, because it's not gonna be easy to understand at that level. But it will be probably some of the best content, much like Terrace House is for me. So anime, to go back to your point again, so can I watch anime without subtitles? It depends on each of those levels that I was just talking about. Depends on what it is. If I'm going to watch something like Doraemon, I can watch Doraemon generally without any issue. I can watch. I'm actually back into One Piece, even though I don't really watch anime anymore. I am actually back into One Piece. I do watch an anime every now and then, so maybe I'll watch like a random episode of a show. I do want to watch Chainsaw Man. That shit looks sick. I'm going to start actually watching that. So shows like Chainsaw Man, I would probably understand maybe about 75% of it, and maybe 65% I would get the gist of, and then the rest of the 25% would be like words that went over my head, a completely new concept. Maybe they're introducing something new because again, there's a lot of supernatural speech in that kind of show, I would assume anyway. Understanding everything, I don't think that's ever going to happen, because that comes down to you like having, I guess, native level or fluency. Actually, no, I wouldn't say it would never happen, but it's not anything at the moment that that I can honestly say. Very rarely do I even watch a show that's quite easy, like Shin-Chan, for example, and could I say that I understood all of it? That's a show maybe 95% I can watch without even needing subtitles. Most important question, yeah. So that's for you two here and the 7 people or so. My family is safe for now, yeah. My dad has 1,400 days. Congrats. Yeah, you're halfway. We'll keep going. Keep going. At least I didn't get vanished. Ramen, you good at speaking? Again, this comes down to the previous question up here about my levels. How comfortable am I at speaking, as well as how proficient am I at speaking as well? That's kind of addressed earlier on in the video. Ohio. Yeah, I already responded to this as well. So yeah, that's kind of just outlining some of the comments that, going over some of the comments that people left on my video. I kind of hope that gives you an idea as to where I am. I will do some more videos on my Japanese language journey as well, because I think this is actually quite an interesting thing. Maybe some different type of content. Much like I have been on YouTube now for 16 years, I don't intend on taking this seriously. So if you do want to subscribe to me for Japanese content, you can, but it's not going to be like that. I kind of just throw anything out there, whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like it as well. And also because I don't get monetization, I can say fuck and shit and piss because I'm not going to get any money from this anyway. So yeah, if you're interested, feel free to subscribe. I will try to answer as many questions as I can. I always respond to my comments, and I have done since I've been on YouTube. So yeah, sayonara.